Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market here with 4 quick picks surrounding the 4 Brawl commanders that are going to be released here shortly. Now, before we kid ourselves and think that Brawl is going to take off as a format, Gavin Verhey, I think this product is still a knock out of the park because it's going to be very popular in Commander. And if you've been watching this channel for a while now, you know that Commander is my favorite format to spec on. So I'm thinking these are going to be great commanders to build around, and I think this is where the product really shines. We had Commander 2019, but a lot of people are actually preferring this Brawl to Commander 2019 for building commander decks. So let's start off here with a Layla Artful Provocateur. That's a mouthful. All right, a Layla Artful Provocateur is a fairy that spits out fairy creatures every time you cast an artifact or enchantment. Very easy to do in Commander because there's lots of mana rocks and lots of lots of artifact cantrip based cards. It gives other creatures you control +1/+0, so it gives its own fairies the Lord type effect. And there are plenty of cards that I think are going to be used in this. Basically, cards like Anointed Processions that has both the synergy with the enchantment plus making more tokens. But what I like about this particular pick is the price point. So for a Layla, I'm going to choose Guin Liege. This is a 2/3 for 4 mana that gives other blue creatures you control +1/+1 and other black creatures you control +1/+1. So I think a lot of people are going to go and try to build Fairy Tribal because this is a commander that spits out a bunch of fairies, and therefore Glendalandra, being a fairy as well as pumping up the tokens, is going to go in the majority of those decks. If we scroll down, it is one of the most listed card for creatures for the people that are actually starting to post deck lists over at EDH Rec. So there are plenty of other cards, like I said, that have a lot of synergy with this deck, but Glendalandra Liege is the price point that I like the most of. You can see it's in 32%, 31% synergy here with the Layla Commander. And what I like most about this, though, is the current spread. Currently on TCG, the market price is around $1.50-ish, and the Card Kingdom is selling at $3, but the Card Kingdom buy list has been bumped up to about $1.50 and then about $2 for store credit. So there's basically no spread there between the TCG market price and the Card Kingdom buy list price, and there's only one in stock at Card Kingdom as well, so I'm expecting that buy list price to shoot up in price shortly within the next few weeks, and especially as these Brawl commanders are released. So I think this is the best pickup right now for the Layla deck. Let's move on to Chulainn. Chulainn has just a ton of cards that can go into Chulainn. Chulainn is a 5 mana for a 2/4 with Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card, and then you can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. And then you can return target creature you control to its owner's hand, so it's a way to have a lot of enter the battlefield effects. But what the card I really like in this particular deck is a card that just has a nice trajectory, that's had a nice trajectory for a long time, and this is Metra. So Metra is around $7 right now, and Card Kingdom is bumped up to $9. The buy list price isn't, it's not too great with a $4 buy list price, but both Card Kingdom and Channel Fireball, it's nice to see when both of them are being competitive, because usually one of them has to give and one of them will increase their price point. There are not a lot of these as far as copies are concerned on TCG Player at the moment. Again, it is starting to move up in the market price, as well as, see, the market mid is razor thin. That's also a good sign for a card that is poised to go up. And I think this has decent synergy with the Brawl Commander. It's one of the easiest kind of duh upgrades. It says whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest and plains and put it on the battlefield tapped. So both these together go towards this like super ramp strategy and allows you basically to cast your entire deck pretty quickly with between Metra and the Chulainn. So again, this I think is a fail-safe spec because it already had that nice trajectory. It goes in plenty of decks on EDH Rec, and the more Celestia commanders or Abzan or in this Bant case scenario, Metra is going to slide in most of those creature-based decks for Commander going forward, and it's somehow dodged reprints for years now. Hasn't been put in a Commander set. Next up, we're going to take a look at Korvald. So Korvald is an aristocrats based commander. Whenever Fey Cursed King enters the battlefield, or attacks, sacrifice another permanent, and whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1 counter on Corvald and then draw a card. So, of course, the Jund Aristocrats type strategies, there are a lot of people that are throwing this in sort of a Lord Windgrace type effect where you're killing lands and bringing them back. So cards like Splendid Reclamation look good, but I think the Da card that I think is going to start going up is recently been reprinted in Ultimate Masters, but I think we're finally at that point to where Ultimate Masters cards can start to go up in value. So this is just telling here. A little bit of humble brag here. That's exactly what I said was going to happen with Ultimate Masters. It was going to be flatlined for a long time just because the supply of this was actually quite high. It was like taking Masters 25 or Iconic Masters and selling it all within a couple weeks rather than spread out long term. And so the singles entered the marketplace very, very quickly, saturated the market, and caused the prices to crash and then stagnate for a long time. So, I mean, Ultimate Masters is almost up to a year now of how long it's been out. And the cards have not budged, even cards as extremely popular as this one, which is Phyrexian Alter. So Phyrexian Alter is my pick from Ultimate Masters for this Aristocrats base deck. It is starting to have a little bit of movement here. You can see this slight little trend here, as well as Card Kingdom has upped their price with their sale price as well as their buy list price. TCG market price is closing in on that mid, and this is just like an evergreen card in Commander. There are plenty of decks that this card is just broken with creatures. I mean, Gravecrawler's a favorite with Phyrexian Alter, another zombie. Just cast it infinitely. If you have something that, deals a damage like a Blood Arts effect, you just win the game. This is just a shoe-in to a lot of those decks for the Corvald, the Phyrexian Alter, Gravecrawler. Let's see, if Corvald is not a zombie, right? Nope, just a Dragon Noble. But if you have other zombies in the deck, that's an easy infinite draw, infinite put +1 counters on Corvald. And again, if you have like a Blood Arts effect, it's infinite death to your opponents. So I'm liking Phyrexian Alter. I think it's the quick upgrade for this deck. I think it's going to be the kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back for at least the Ultimate Master supply of Phyrexian Alter. And that card is going to start going back up and follow a similar trajectory of we saw with Invasions. So before the reprinting, Phyrexian Alter had one of those amazing little trajectories where it would have these little bump ups, and really started to steep up around Iconic Masters. Went up from $33 all the way up to about $60 before the reprint actually killed this card's value. But again, I think we're going to see a very similar rise in this card as we saw before the Ultimate Masters reprinting. That leaves us with the Sire, Guin, Hero of Asheville. This is a 5/5 for the 6 mana, has Vigilance and Menace. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And equipments you control have equipped to Knights for 0. So here's another one that I like the price point at, and the TCG is almost out of any sort of reasonable ability to buy this card out. You can find a bunch of 1-ofs, you can find lightly plays or worse, but as far as near mints are concerned in any high quantity, it's basically gone. Card Kingdom has actually raised its buy list to where the TCG mid is, and they also are out of stock at the moment, and this is the Kin's Bale Cavalier. Now, I'm not too keen on this card, but I actually think the effect is quite weak. I get it, double strike for all night creatures you control. However, the market tends to be moving this way, and this is where you cannot rule out casuals. So this, again, probably wouldn't be a card that would make my 100 list if I was going to build an equipment-based deck with only a creature very steep mana cost to just give other night creatures double strike. I think there's easier ways to get this, especially out of equipments and these one-shot type effects for what we call Voltron-based commanders. Nevertheless, casual players are eating this card up with the Knight synergy. A lot of people will go Knight Tribal with the commander, and again, this is basically non-existent. You can see the market price is actually higher than the mid, and this is always an indication the card is moving. So this means there's a lot of stubborn mid prices that might have like very high shipping costs, or they're still taking account damaged, heavily played, moderately played cards that haven't sold, and therefore that's keeping the mid price down comparatively to the market price of those lightly played and near mints that are actually moving. So again, this might be too late to actually get in on this card, but if you can find copies, if your local game store does use like the TCG mid or Goldfish or any other metric to sell cards, this is an easy way to snag them up. They're going to be a double up here within the next few weeks. Again, Card Kingdom buy list is $2.50 for this card, and they are actually out of stock at their the price that they have for this card. Definitely look at this dual deck as well. There might be some good ways to get in on this card from the dual deck of Dragons versus Knights. Anyway, so those are my 4 quick picks from the Brawl. I'm going to be doing these type of shorter videos more consistently again for the Rogue Market channel, and this is going to be a lot of times with the Market Monday. I'll have a whole topic about this and then give some quick picks, and this is one of those videos. So be looking for the Market Monday video over at my main channel, Rogue Deck Builder. It's going to be talking about the Brawl decks, and we're going to be looking over all of the Brawl decks more in depth of how they'll be upgraded into Commander decks. Anyway, this has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. Thanks for watching.